I really want to love this movie. I really, really do. Honestly, it's this film has such great potential, and I enjoy it. I'm not gonna say I don't like this film, so this is not gonna be a review where I'm dissing this movie at all. I landed on a 2.5 out of 5, and I'm going to explain why. But the first time I watched this film, actually, I bought it on DVD because the title and the poster sold me immediately, and I really didn't like it at all. To the point where I sold it and got rid of it because I really did not enjoy what I experienced, and I went into it blind, so I wasn't expecting what kind of movie it was and you know, what type of film and what style of film it was. So I went into it not expecting what I got. So there's that. But this film has grown on me with a few watches. Obviously, I rebought it. And there's a lot of history to this film and making of points that actually enhance what the movie is and the enjoyment factor of the movie and how great it is, honestly. Shout out to a channel called Good Bad Flicks, which goes really, really in depth into films and way more in depth into this one than I am going to. But this film was a bitch to make. The Ford brothers, basically, this was their passion project, and this film is all shot in Africa and takes West Africa specifically, and takes place in West Africa. The story is all in West Africa, and they basically almost died filming this, with trying to get permits and dealing with like rebels and militia and everything that was going on there. They were just in a really bad spot and kind of in the wrong place at the wrong time, you could say. And they just worked their asses off to get this made. This is a low budget film in retrospect compared to other zombie films. But you just watching it, you can see how much of a passion project exactly that it is. And we're talking 10 to 12 years ago the first time that I watched this film. So I am a way different kind of film fan than I am a way different kind of film fan today than I was then. But yeah, basically what we have here story-wise is we have this guy who's basically a mercenary. He's a mechanic. They call him lieutenant, so he obviously works for the army. But basically, he's a mechanic. He fixes parts and he fixes vehicles usually and machines and stuff like that. And a zombie outbreak happens in West Africa, and during an escape, he's on a plane and they take off way too early against his warnings because he says that, the engines are going to fail, the fuel is not going to be efficient. And lo and behold, it does. So the plane goes down off the coast, and then he washes up to shore on this crate, and he's basically back on land trying to survive this zombie horde. And then the second co-star character, his name is Daniel Dembele, and he is played by Prince David Osei, and he's great. He's a really good character. Basically, he's just looking for his missing son. He's a soldier in Africa, and their job was basically to have outposts on main roads and basically take care or try to contain the zombie outbreak. Now, this is a very mature zombie film, which I love, and the idea behind this project is so good. Basically, the Ford brothers wanted to create a Night of the Living Dead style zombie movie where we go back to the really, really slow moving classic zombies, because these days, zombies started going faster and faster, and we started getting more into rabies style, 28 Days Later style zombies. And World War Z, for God's sakes, where they pile up on each other. This one, like the opening shot to this film, there's this zombie with a broken leg. The practical effects are so amazing, and the Ford brothers has had such a bar of gold in their hands to create this film, and it's just a shame that they went through all the struggles that they did. Like I said, the good bad flicks review on YouTube covers it all. It's great, and the idea that they had behind this film, the zombies are so good looking. They're not good looking, they're great looking. They really look believable, and what you would what you would think that a real zombie outbreak probably would be like. It's not as Hollywood and fast paced. This is a really, really slow movie. Too slow for its good, I would say. Like, the thing also is that this film is an hour and 45 minutes. They should have shortened this up to an hour and a half. I think at an hour and a half or less, this film would be a lot better. It's very slow moving and it does drag a lot. There is not a lot to explain story wise other than these two guys trying to help each other survive and going, heading to North Africa where there's this military base where people are gathering and they're gathering survivors. But just the way that they try to avoid the danger, even though the danger is very slow moving. It's one of those zombie films that the danger is obviously in hordes rather than one zombie just attacking and going crazy kind of thing. The introduction to Daniel Dembele's character is great. He goes back to his village and it's completely in shambles. I really like when they flash back to the plane that I mentioned that was flying over West Africa and then went down. They show what's happening in the plane, and there's this guy that turns into a zombie, and then everything goes haywire in the plane before it goes down. And then the camera moves from the plane right down to the village where everything is, horrific, and, zombies are eating everybody. And just the simplest thing of the way the zombies chew. You think that would be like, oh, whatever, but my God, like they really like munch on the flesh of humans. Obviously it's practical, but you see the meat in their mouths, and it's just so realistic and so unsettling and so simple. But that's exactly what makes this film so great. It's really fucking slow, and there's so much more that could have been done with it with a higher budget. And like I said, it's not the filmmaker's fault at all. This is why I don't like. I'm not here to diss the movie. I did give it a 2.5 out of 5 specifically because there's things that I love and there's things that kind of bothered me and annoyed me, you could say, to no fault of the filmmakers. Like, again, but it's it's one of those split films. That's what, like, I when a film is split completely down the middle, it's a 2.5 out of 5 because that's right down the middle, obviously, for obvious reasons. So the opening is great. Another thing that annoyed me is Rob Freeman, rest in peace, because apparently there's not much information of him online, but apparently he passed away. He was in Saving Private Ryan. That's probably his biggest role. And then he was in some episodes of The Outer Limits as well. Here's the thing. I don't know if the direction of this guy was supposed to be the way it was, and the directors told him to act the way he does. But his acting just, it comes across very, very strange. He's so monotone and not like, I don't know if they were trying to design his character to be like blue collar, like simple mechanic kind of, I just fix things kind of guy. Because there's a line where he says, he's driving with Daniel Dembele, and he stops the truck and he's like, listen, I'm a mechanic, I fix things, that's it. Because Dembele was arguing about, like, I don't understand the white man, you come here with guns to hurt us and then you send your doctors to save us. And he responds with, like, I'm a mechanic, dude, like, I'm just a simple guy. So I don't know if they were trying to get his character to be so simple, but the way he delivers lines, it's just so strange. And he's like, they're all dead. I don't know what to do. Oh, I don't know where my family is. I don't even know if the virus went, how far it went, if it went overseas. I haven't spoken to my wife, and so, like, it's just so weird. And I don't know whether to blame Rob Freeman himself or the directors asking him to for his character to be that way. I just don't know, but it just I couldn't believe his character. I just it seemed like the acting just seemed unnatural, you could say, or just like he was on screen and he was just like he didn't even want to be there. He didn't care. He's like reading off like cue cards or something. It was very very weird. So I just wanted to mention that. But the practical effects are great. Like I said, the opening shot with the zombie's broken leg and the way he's walking, like limping, it's so realistic. There is this weird scene where the military is in their trucks and they're looking for survivors, and they stop and they help this they help this woman get in the truck because she's clearly alive. And then there's this other woman that comes with her hand raised, and she's also limping. She has a problem with her leg, and then he basically just pushes her, and she is not a zombie, but he just shoots her down anyway. And it doesn't make any sense because I don't think zombies like run like this and try to signal for help. So the other zombies are just literally walking like really, really fucking slow, and you can see in their face that they're expressionless. So I don't know why that soldier shot that woman down. There's this really sad scene too, closer to the end of the film, where the main character, Rob Freeman, I don't think I even mentioned his name. His name is Lieutenant Brian Murphy. And this other surviving African lady is also limping. She got a bite, so she's already going to turn. And she's holding her baby, and she gives her baby to Rob Freeman's character, Brian, to take care of it. And she begs Brian to shoot her in the head because she knows she's about to turn. And they don't speak the same language, and he's devastated. He can't even like look at her while he's doing it. You Now that I think about it, that's probably why they gave him the direction of being so nonchalant. It's probably they wanted him to have kind of like be in shock with his character, like he can't process what's going on. Maybe that's it. Now that I'm thinking about it as I'm making this review, could be that. Um, the character Daniel Dembele, he mentions that because he was supposed to be on roadblocks and outposts, you could say, he ran away to find his son, which who could blame him? And if they ever found him, they'll kill him. He does have, I'm not going to say a good death, but it's a really tragic death, but he does get bitten by zombies, and clearly this, it's weird because in the plane, the guy who turns into a zombie turned pretty fast, but Daniel Dembele, yes, he gets bitten all over, like his neck, his legs, his arms. He's attacked, I think, by like one or two zombies, and he just gets mauled. And Brian's character, Brian, played by Rob Freeman, carries Daniel to a tree and then lays Daniel down there, and he says he wants to be shot as well, and he says, "Don't let my soul wander the sand." That's his last words, right? And then Rob Freeman's character, Brian, puts the gun to his head, but then puts it down and starts walking away really slowly. So you're like, you didn't respect his last wishes? What the fuck is wrong with you, dude? And I know you're like, it's a struggle, but Jesus, because they spent a lot of time together, right? But then you slowly walking away and you hear a gunshot, but you don't see him fire it at his head, or it's kind of strange. There is some interesting but yet strange style of shots in this film, I will say. A lot of blurry shots, a lot of shots that cut every like second or two. When somebody's trying to show emotion, it'll be like with music playing in the background, and it'll just cut and cut and cut. So interesting, but different, and kind of in a way where I don't know how I feel about it. The cinematography and the way they were going, like I said, for a Night of the Living Dead feel and a slower zombie film is really, really well done. I think the shots are gorgeous. I think the locations are amazing. I think everything looks so fantastic in this film that it's great. And the kills too, like there's there's machete kills that are just brutal, right through the heads of some zombies. All the gore is all practical, and it all looks so good that I think if the Ford brothers had more time and more more time to develop a film like this. There is a second one too, which I have never seen. I'm waiting to find it at a good price. The Dead 2. It actually takes place in India, and it is a sequel to this film. And I am excited to check that one out. I wonder if they had a better time or an easier time making it in a bigger budget. I'm interested to see. But the African setting in the really hot looking desert landscapes are so good. Like there's a scene where even their truck runs out of coolant and they can't go on foot, obviously, because their journey is far as hell, let alone the slow moving zombies and the amount of them. But they have to they have no more coolant, they have to fill it with water instead, which means they lose water for themselves. And they're in a fucking desert. And you can feel, just watching this film, how hot it must be in the film itself, in the universe of the film, but filming the film, you can tell like the amount of heat that these filmmakers must have gone through and these actors must have dealt with. The ending is pretty grim. Brian Murphy gets in contact with this guy named Frank, who is in the United States, and he's so excited to hear somebody's voice that he recognizes. He's just so happy. It's like he found refuge finally, and Frank mentions that the exact same thing is happening on his end. So there's zombie noises in the background, and he has to cut Brian off early, which Brian is just devastated. He mentions to Brian that Brian's family's gone and that he has to go because the zombies are coming into wherever he is in the United States. And so obviously you get he got his answer that the virus did spread a little too far, and that there is not a lot of hope. But then at the very end, he got a necklace from Daniel that is a symbol of hope, and he makes it to this military base in the north, and he finds Daniel's son there. So it kind of ends in this really abrupt, like too abrupt, I think, but hopeful message where like there's a grim little, not grim, that's the wrong word, a little minuscule piece of hope left for survival and the survival of mankind. So it kind of just ends there. But it's also really weird because he gets to this military base and there's walls all around it and it's surrounded by hundreds of zombies. So what he's covered head to toe in robes to protect himself from the sun, like basically to keep cool from the intense heat. And he has an AK-47, and he goes down and he mows down basically a shit ton of zombies, and then he takes a machete at the same time and he starts hacking them all, and he just gets right through them. He even uses one zombie as leverage to put his foot on top of and jump onto the wall so he can climb over and get to the other side of the military base. And everybody at the military base is looking at this guy like he's basically Jesus Christ, and they're like patting his shoulders. Some of them are bowing to him. But the thing is, he didn't want to go on foot anywhere, and he needed to use the truck, and he didn't want to risk like walking around anywhere. But at the same time, or like at the end of the film when he reaches this base, he just easily mows down a bunch of zombies like they're like nothing. Like there's no struggle. He's just like cutting down a bunch of corn stalks or something. He's just like, there's no danger. Like there's no sense of danger whatsoever. So if it's that easy for a fucking horde of them, how is it not that easy? At the beginning of the movie where there's like maybe 5 on the beach when he washes up on the shore, and he's dying to get to that handgun, and then he's like, you can sense the danger there. But at the end of the movie, he just hacks down like 90 zombies like it's a piece of cake. It was just very strange, the tonal shift on that part. There's a cool scene where one of the zombies gets run over, and again, beautiful practical effects. It's one of those scenes where you don't want to laugh at it, but you kind of can't help yourself because the truck just mows the zombie, and the zombie's like right on the hood, and then he falls back, and then he just kind of looks out the window or something, and then he continues driving and runs right over the zombie's head, and it just crushes like a grape, and it just splatters, and practical effects again are beautiful. I really think the Ford brothers had like such a good project in their hands, and after a lot of research on this film, it just made me want to watch it again and discover it again. And I like what it's going for, and I think it's a good movie. I just unfortunately don't think it's a great film, and I wish it was. I really wish it was because this film had such love behind it, and really went back to classic roots, and that's the way films like this should be. So it's just a shame that it didn't have. It's just a shame that they didn't have more of an opportunity to make it the gem that it could have been. This is the film that could have been, but we got The Dead, and it's good. It's good, and it's worth checking out. But prepare for an hour and 45 minutes of a lot of walking, a lot of talking. So that's the kind of movie it is. It's not it's not a Dawn of the Dead remake. It's not a fucking World War Z zombie movie. It's a back to the roots zombie movie in a really really beautiful looking landscape, and it's cool. It's a really cool film. Like I said, I don't know how I feel about the lead. He didn't really work for me, but the co-star Prince David Osei, he's awesome. He's a good actor. He's a great actor actually, and he does a really good job in this movie. A very believable character too. I really liked him in the movie. But that's The Dead. If you've seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If not, go check it out. If it sounds something up your alley, if you like zombie movies, this is definitely one that you shouldn't miss. At least trying to watch. At least giving it a shot, right? And I can't wait till I get the opportunity to watch The Dead 2, because India again sounds just as awesome of a place to have a zombie film, a zombie setting take place in as Africa would be. So it's I'm excited for it. I'm excited. I just need to find the opportunity to check it out, basically. So subscribe to Morgan Film Fan if you like to listen to my voice or if you like my film reviews. I'll be back with more soon, so stay tuned for that. Check out what's on the channel already. Stay tuned for what's coming, and until next review, have a good one. Take care and cheers.